August 23rd, 2009. The first memory of that day is picking up the phone and hearing a stranger say, "Your mother has been in an accident." I'm Manny Garcia, and I believe in strength. This is a story about my mother. When my mother found out she was pregnant with me, my brother was only a month old. I'd become her third child in less than 3 years. Shortly after my birth, my mother developed type 1 diabetes. We were living in San Jose, a big city we could no longer afford. We arrived at Corning with no jobs, no home, and very little money. As we tried to better ourselves, things would only get worse. My father found himself in jail, my mother's diabetes began to get worse, and to top things off, I lost my beautiful grandmother after a long fight with diabetes. The same diabetes my mother's developed. It wasn't until my father was released from jail that we began to find some luck. With what little we had, we'd become the proud owners of Poncho's #1 tires, we found a stable home, and we welcomed the newest addition of our family, Arturo. The only problem was, my mother's diabetes became life-threatening. At age 36, the doctor tried to place my mother on dialysis. She refused. The doctor then had the nerve to turn to us kids and say, "Hey kids, get ready. Your mother won't live to see a day past 40, and heck, if she does, I'll throw her a party." Only being 6 years old, I was so innocent, so gullible, I would believe anything the doctors would say about my mother. The next 4 years were hard, especially knowing there was an expiration date on my mother. It was hard to watch her inject herself with insulin multiple times a day. It was hard to watch her sugar levels reach as low as 50 and as high as 500. It was hard to see her so weak when all she wanted to do was provide strength. But the hardest thing was waking up every morning and facing the reality that today can be the last day I get to tell her I love her. As days passed, everything changed. Birthdays became reminders, time became valuable, and moments became life lessons and instances that I would always remember. I hated myself for not being able to take all her pain away. I started to change. I changed everything, the way I did things, the way I managed myself. My brothers and I, we used to drink all the soda we could during dinner time. But then I got to watching my mom, watching us boys just drink all the soda. I felt so bad as a son that I stopped drinking soda entirely. I loved her way too much to see her suffer anymore. The day of my mother's 40th birthday, I woke up and I ran into her room. Only being 10 years old, I remember what the doctor said about her, so I thought today was her last day. I cried and I cried when I found her awake. I wasn't ready to lose her. I don't think I'll ever be ready to lose her. But things slowly started to improve over the next 2 years. Then the accident happened. I dropped the phone and repeated what was said aloud. It echoed in my head. Millions of possibilities crossed my mind. Accident and mother were 2 words I never wanted to hear. I needed to find her. I just remember running. The more I thought about it, the more it hurt me. And the closer I thought I was getting, the more the tears poured from my face. When I arrived, the first thing I saw was a totaled version of the car my mom used to drive. Seeing the car, I thought that was it. But just beyond the car, there she was. Getting checked on, I ran to her. I heard harsh voices yelling. I didn't know what they were saying, but I knew they were directed towards me. Nothing was going to keep me from getting to my mother. I hugged her tight. I kissed the top of her head and I told her I loved her. She said everything was going to be okay, but things never were. My mother is 48 years old. She's been strong all her life. She's taught me you're either going to overcome something or you're not. She's chosen to overcome everything. Bad things will happen in your life. You can let it define you, you can let it destroy you, or you can let it strengthen you. This, I believe.